Hello again, my little conscripts, and welcome to another Mordian Glory video. In today's episode, we are going to be deep diving the Mechanized Assault Detachment from the Imperial Guard 10th Edition Codex. Now, some people love this detachment, and we've even seen some competitive players do very well with it. But many in the Guard community do not like it, and they don't feel like it works the way that it should. So why don't we mount up, roll out, and find out why this attachment is so divisive.
Attention Guardsmen, the Commissariat has detected you have not yet liked this video. Do so immediately or else you will face the Emperor's wrath. And anyone who has not yet subscribed to the channel will be transferred to the penal battalions. That is all. Move out!
First things first, let's look at the detachment rule. Armoured Fist. Imperial Guard mechanized forces combine heavy armor with elite infantry. Reliant on speed and short-range firepower, the armored spearhead hurtles through the enemy lines and deploys its cargo of shock troops to cut the enemy down with volleys of lasgun fire. I have to say, cool imagery on that flavor text. I actually quite like it. But what does this mean on the tabletop? Each time an Imperial Guard model from your army makes a ranged attack in a turn in which it disembarked from a transport, add 1 to the wound roll. Now, on the one hand, this has the potential to be an incredibly powerful detachment rule. +1 to wound can lead to some truly potent damage output. And that's something that we saw with the original Bridgehead detachment. In fact, that one was so powerful that Games Workshop had to heavily nerf it. I mean, think about this with units like Scions and Kazakin jumping out of Chimeras and Tauroxes. They are going to be able to really punish the opponent with those plasma guns, with those melter guns, which have the damage and have the AP, but that strength 8 and strength 9 can sometimes struggle into vehicles. It really does solve a big problem for weapons like that. And a hidden beneficiary of this detachment is actually auxiliary units. So much so that some people consider the Mechanized Assault Detachment the unofficial auxiliary detachment. Because this doesn't say that it has to be like a regiment model. It just says an Astra Militarum model. So yes, you can have Ogren inside a Chimera who can jump out and shoot and get +1 to wound, which is a big help to a unit like that. And considering that Ogren get 18 shots from a squad of 3, and they can be good AP with point blank barrage and their flat damage too, it is very potent in the hands of the big boys. And Rattlings are definitely worth an honorable mention here as well, because sniper rifles, which are natively AP-2, natively damage 2, with precision, and the fact that Rattlings hit on a 3+, whereas Ogren's hit on a 4+, means that you can have Rattlings that are hitting on 3s. They might be wounding a lot of enemy standard infantry on 3s as well. It can be quite damaging. But not only that, Shoot Sharp and Scarper allows you to disembark from the transport, shoot, and then make a normal move, and you are allowed to get back inside the transport as part of that move. Some of you might be like, that doesn't sound right. But if you look at the way the disembark rules and embark rules work, you can't disembark and embark in the same phase, but you can in the same turn. Now, bear in mind, you would disembark from a transport in the movement phase, and then Shoot Sharp and Scarper would take place in the shooting phase. It is possible to jump in and out of a transport in the same turn with Rattlings, and those Rattlings would have +1 to wound. However, there is a bit of a pickle with this detachment, which is that it is surprisingly easy for your opponent to take the detachment rule away from you. I mean, think about it for a moment. If your opponent is able to kill your transport before it's delivered its payload, then the unit that spills out essentially loses access to the Armored Fist rule. There's a chance that they could get inside another empty transport later in the game, but that does start getting kind of fiddly, and unless they're Rattlings, it's definitely going to be harder for them to jump in and out of transports. And so you lose your transport, you lose access to the detachment rule for that unit. But then you've got the other side of it, whereas you yeet your infantry forward, let's say it's Kazakin, you yeet them forward, you jump out, you do the damage. Well, pretty much anything that can go inside one of these chimeras isn't particularly durable. Bulgren are drawable, but they don't benefit from this because it's only ranged attacks. So even Ogrins aren't that hard to kill. So you drive forward, you jump out, you do the damage, but then your guys die on the clapback. Well, now that's a unit which can't benefit from the detach rule because it's not going to be able to get back inside the transport. So you're very, very susceptible to losing access to the detach rule on both ends of the equation, both on trying to get there and also on the clapback once you have got there. Now combine this with the fact that traditional mech guard does not really like this detachment, which feels wrong because it's meant to be the mechanized assault. And you can understand why a lot of players have struggled to gel with this. If you're wondering why trad mech doesn't like this, the idea with traditional mech guard is you have objective control dense units, things like shock troops and Kachans and Kriegers, inside the chimeras. And the idea is that the chimera goes onto the objective, but the infantry doesn't want to get out. The golden rule of trad mech is if you're still in your chimeras by turn 3, you've probably actually won because you've managed to preserve your objective control, and that can give you a big advantage going into the later game. But this doesn't obviously work with Iron Fist because that's encouraged you to get your objective control out, get your units out. But all you do is essentially play the complete opposite to the way you want traditional mech to work. So overall, what this means is that Armored Fist has the potential to be very, very powerful. +1 to wound is phenomenal, but there's a lot of pitfalls along the way, and it kind of goes against the grain with the old guard way of thinking. But now let us move on to the enhancements. First into the breach, we have Bold Leadership. This officer's aggressive command style sees them lead the advance personally, planting the regiment's colours on seized objectives and leaving following troops to defend the ground they have gained. Infantry officer model only. If you control an objective marker at the end of your command phase and the bearer's unit or any transport it is embarked within is within range of that objective marker remains under your control even if you have no models within range of it, until your opponent controls at the start or end of any turn. Basically, you can make an officer have sticky objectives, and not only that, they can sticky them from within the transport. I have to say I quite like this enhancement. I think it's a pretty good one. There's a couple of different ways that I can see you using it. Firstly, you could use it in the way that it describes, where you have someone like a Castellan leading some Kazakin, and they push forward, they take the objective, and then they push past it, and so they continue doing their job. So it's like having the benefit of a Cadian shock troop unit and the benefit of like an elite Kazakin unit doing the same thing. So that's pretty good. I also like the way that this kind of leans a little bit into the idea of traditional mech, more so than I would say the Armored Fist rule does, because you could have an officer inside a transport that stickies an objective and they don't need to get out and risk it. Even if it's just a command squad doing that, that's pretty nice. Or maybe, like I said, you have a Castellan leading a squad doing it, however you want to do it, but you can have an element of trad mech there, so I like that. The other way I like to see this being used is you have a unit that starts the game on your home objective, it stickies it, and then it can go off and do aggressive, go-getting, damage-dealing things. Again, you can have a Castellan leading a squad of Kazakin fulfilling that kind of role. You would use that last tactic if you were playing against someone that doesn't have a lot of deep strikes or a lot of reserves. Because obviously you wouldn't want to sticky your objective, drive off just for the enemy to sneak it away from you. At the end of the day, sticky objectives is a great tool to have in the toolbox. A lot of very competitive players swear by it, and so anything that gives you easy access to it gets a thumbs up. Number 2 on the list is Sacred Unguents. Regimental tech priests bless the vehicles under their charge with holy prayer and sacred oils. I don't know why, but I've got the image of a tech priest in like a mankini or some budgie smugglers, like oiling up himself and the chimera at the same time. I probably should go to therapy at this point. Moving swiftly on, Astra Militarum Tech Priest Engine Seer model only. At the start of your shooting phase, select one transport from your army, excluding aircraft and Titanic units, within 3 inches of the bearer. Until the end of the phase, each time that transport makes an attack, you can reroll the hit roll. This is so close to being overpowered, but god damn it, GW, you had to catch it in the proofread. The one time you proofread something, if you could use this on Titanic units, the Stormlord would become meta overnight. As it is, this applies to Chimeras and Taurox Primes. I mean, technically you could do it on a Taurox, but really, it's got so few guns, it's not really worth considering. My gut instinct tells me that on paper, this is probably best used with something like a Taurox Prime, especially one with a Gatling cannon, because then you get the full rerolls to hit, combine that with the fact that it's got full rerolls to wound, combine that with the fact that it does dev wounds, and you'd have a pretty decent little Daka tank there. Problem is that Taurox Primes are a bit expensive and they're fairly limited in what they can transport. So you're probably looking at this for a Chimera. And you know what? That's okay. Because Chimeras put out a lot of shots. You've got 6 heavy bolter shots, because you're taking double heavy bolter if you're taking this. Screw the multi-laser. So you've got 6 heavy bolter shots with sustained hits. A lot of potential to generate a lot of sustained hits there. Then you've got the Hunter Killer Missile, which can always benefit from a reroll. And then you've got the Heavy Stubber. And then you have got the multi-laser ray. And he said multi-laser. And then you have got the firing deck as well. So the thing shooting out the firing deck could benefit. So I like the idea of this with a unit of Ogrins in the Chimera. Because you could have the Tech Priest buffing up the Chimera, putting out loads and loads and loads of like heavy bolter and equivalent shots. And then the Ogrins can jump out and go, let's rock! And blast. And they can benefit from Armored Fist. So it's quite nice. Sacred Unguents on the Ogrin. That's right. The Tech Priest is oiling up the Ogrin. Gonna need 2 hands for all that oil. Once again, moving swiftly on. Smoke grenades. Smoke screens provide cover for the infantry advance and enable troops to disembark safely. Infantry officer model only. The bearer's unit has the benefit of cover and stealth ability, while the bearer's unit is wholly within 3 inches of one or more friendly transport models. I am not sure about this one. When I first saw it, I thought it was great. But I've struggled to make it work. Because if you put this on a unit like a Castellan, leading the Kazakin, I keep coming back to that because it's such a good combo in this, then I don't think it does enough to save the Kazakin. Because the Kazakin are going to be jumping out, smashing the entire area, and then dying because you're using them as like these Kazakin darts, right? It might protect you a bit from the clapback, but it's a hell of an investment. You've got the Taurox, then the Castellan, then the Enhancement, then the Kazakin. I almost feel like you're better off just not having the Castellan, just having the Kazakin in the transport, saving a buttload of points, and just driving them forward, jumping out, smashing, and just accepting their fate. The other way I can kind of see this working is if you've got like a pair of transports going onto an objective, and one of your units gets blown out of the transport, but there's still one transport left over. And so they jump, they fall out with emergency disembark, they get within 3 inches of the other transport, and then smoke grenades still kicks in. Because you just need to be near a friendly transport model. But that feels a bit meh. Feels like you're over egging an objective. I typically only need like 1 transport on an objective, and then I sort of push everything else past it. So I remain unconvinced from smoke grenades, but that might just be my experience with them. Lastly, we have got Vanguard Honours. Decorated veteran officers know when and where to press home the assault, ensuring their squad disembarks in the optimum position. Infantry officer model only. The bearer's unit can disembark from a transport after it has advanced. If it does, it counts as having made a normal move that phase and cannot declare a charge in the same turn, but can otherwise act normally in the remainder of the turn. Realistically, this lets you turn a Chimera into a Taurox, because the Taurox has the ability to move, advance, jump out and shoot stuff, and now the Chimera could also benefit from that. I suppose it comes down to how much you love Chimeras, because realistically you could just take a Taurox and get the same output as this. So it's cool, but The transport still counts for having advanced, so it won't shoot. I think this one looks better on paper. And I think it does open up tools for the Chimera. And I think that Chimeras do have a number of advantages over Tauroxes. But I think you could probably just take Tauroxes and not worry about this one. Overall, the enhancements are decent. You've got some standout ones like Bold Leadership and Sacred Unguents, but a couple that I'm not totally convinced by with Smoke Grenades and Vanguard Honors. But now, let us get to the stratagems. Stratagem numero uno, we have Vox Relay. 1 command point. You use it in your command phase. You target 1 infantry officer unit from your army embarked within a transport. You can use this stratagem on that unit even though it is embarked within a transport. The effect is, until the end of the phase, your unit can issue orders even though it is not on the battlefield, and it can issue orders to Astra Militarum transport units from your army, excluding Titanic units, boo, regardless of the distance to and from your unit's transport. Once again, GW's surprisingly competent proofreading has scuppered my plans to break the game. It would have been fantastically broken if I could have had a single Castellan order like 2 super heavies for 1 CP at infinite distance. Double Daka Stormlord. Damn it. On a serious note, I do think that this is something that you are going to use to order the transports. I don't really see the benefit of using this to order infantry around, because if you want to do that, just take a Chimera. But the advantage of this is you could have a Castellan in a transport that it doesn't have to be a Chimera. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. But you could have a Castellan in a Chimera and then another Chimera, and then that Castellan could order both of them. We'd like take aim. That's a pretty good way of getting some extra orders into your army. And you could even have Creed order like 3 Chimeras, because it doesn't say you can't target like an epic hero with it, it's just an infantry officer. I quite like that. Triple order Creed, making multiple Chimera Daka tanks with squads of Ogrins, because you could have Creed and 3 Ogrin, and then 2 more Chimeras and 3 Ogrin each of those, and it'd be like, okay, well now I've got 3 Chimeras with double Ogrin shooting out the top, and all the heavy bolts and stuff that we mentioned before, and just blasting. And it's at any distance as well. So I don't even need to keep these together as a battle group. Vox Relay is good. I like it. I like it a lot. Number 2 is Rapid Dispersal. It costs 1 command point. You use it in your movement phase. It targets an Astra Militarum infantry unit that has disembarked for transport this phase. Bear in mind, it's not a regiment unit, so again, we could be affecting Ogrins here. We could be affecting Ratlings here. See what I mean? There's a lot of like auxiliary stuff that could benefit from this. And then the effect is your infantry unit can make a normal move of up to D6 inches. Now, one way of using this that comes to mind is you drive your transport forward, you disembark the 3 inches, and then you use the stratagem to get an extra D6 inches forward. This could be useful for taking objectives. This could be useful for getting angles around L-shaped ruins to be able to blast the enemy's ass. However, I think there is a second way you could use this, but I'm not 100% certain if this works. So please correct me down in the comment section if I am wrong about this. Could you combine Rapid Dispersal with just a normal move that you make anyway? Because if that's possible, you could take a squad of 3 Bulgrin, put them in a transport, jump out 3 inches, then Rapid Dispersal, then do your regular move on top of that. And it would be like you got Advance and Charge on your Bulgrin. And that's quite potent. That's not something you have to do as like a turn 1 Banzai charge, but just staging up a unit of Bulgrin in a Chimera or a Taurox and having that in the pocket as a counterattack could be really powerful. However, and I cannot emphasize this enough, I don't know if that works. I don't know if there's some FAQ that I'm missing. I have had a look, but I don't know if there's some FAQ or some document that I'm missing. So please, if that does or does not work, can the dear viewers of this channel comment down below. For those that do know, can you comment down below? Because I would hate to say that that definitely works and then it misleads someone. Because I'm not sure. It feels like it works, but I don't know if it does. So if you're interested in that tactic and you'd like some confirmation, check out the comment section and hopefully someone there will have kept us all honest. Stratagem number 3 is clear and secure. This is also one command point and you use it in your shooting phase. You target one Astra Militarum unit from your army that disembarked from a transport this turn. Yes, Cyclops demolition vehicles are in because it doesn't say infantry. Reality is it's probably only going to affect your infantry, but there we go. And you have to select a unit that hasn't been chosen to shoot this phase. So something that's got to have a transport but hasn't shot yet. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack that targets a unit within range of the objective marker, you can reroll the hit roll and you can reroll the wound roll. Oh, I don't even need to explain that one. That one is so obviously powerful. 4 rolls to hit with Ogrin, and for 4 rolls to hit and wound with Ogrin. Unit of Kazakin jumping out. Let's rock! Yeah, very, very good. Arguably one of, if not the best stratagem in the entire detachment. Straight up super duper damage boost for one command point. The only caveat, of course, is the enemy needs to be within range of objective marker. But this is 10th edition. The whole game is standing on circles. So you're probably going to have ample opportunity to leverage this stratagem. Stratagem numero 4. Swift interception. You use it in your opponent's movement phase just after an enemy unit ends a normal advance or fallback move. You target one transport unit from your army, excluding Titanic. Damn you, GW, why do you not want me to use Titanic units? That is not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units and is within 9 inches of the enemy unit that just ended that move. Your transport can make a normal move of up to 6 inches. Amazing. Just amazing. Movement wins games. This stratagem can be used both aggressively and defensively. Defensively, if someone moves near you, you might be like, oh, don't want to get charged. Don't want my transport to die. Move away. Someone might move near you and you can go, oh, you have activated my trap card. I'm now going to move behind this line of sight blocking piece of terrain. Now you can't shoot me. Boom. Or you could use it aggressively and be like, oh, look, you have just towed one OC guy onto that objective. It'd be a shame if someone swift intercepted 6 inches a 2 OC Chimera onto that objective and stopped you from getting it. And you can use it with all sorts of crazy things. You could use it to deny someone area denial, that could deny them 5 victory points. So it's a really, really good stratagem. It's great for defending your own units. It's great for throwing spanners in the works of your opponent's plans. It's a reactive move. Reactive moves are great and powerful and awesome, and this gets double thumbs up. Number 5, we have Hasty Extraction. 1 command point. Use it in your opponent's charge phase after the enemy unit has selected targets for its charge, but before it makes the charge move. You target 1 Astra Militarum infantry unit from your army that was selected as a target of that charge, provided your unit is not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, and every model in your unit is within 3 inches of an Astra Militarum transport, and this can be Titanic. From your army, it can embark within that transport. Yeah, baby! So good. Oh, you're going to charge me, are you? How about you suck a fat one and I get inside my transport? Now, this could be quite good with a unit of Kazakin. You can use it on Ogrin as well. But this could be quite good. Because if you go in there and you smash with the Kazakin, and then the enemy is a more melee-orientated army, and they're like, okay, well, now we're going to counter you, we're going to do the clapback, and we're going to eat you. You can go, aha, back inside the transport. Now, what this might mean is that the enemy charges your transport, and the transport survives, and everyone's happy. But even if the transport doesn't survive, and the Kazakin spill out, you have preserved what is arguably the more powerful, the more important part of all of this scenario. So I think Haste Extraction is good. It's obviously a more defensive stratagem. It's not like this one where you can use it in both offensive and aggressive ways, but it's good. And it definitely messes with your opponent. It definitely helps you preserve units, and it might allow you between this and maybe smoke grenades. It might actually allow you to keep the infantry that jump out of a transport alive long enough for them to get back in the transport, for them to actually get more than one shot out of the detachment rule. Finally, we have got move out. One command point. They're all one command point, which is worth mentioning because that makes them all eminently usable. When end of your opponent's turn, target one Astra Militarum unit from your army. Yes, Cyclops is back in again. Provided your unit is not within engagement range. You're not using this on a Cyclops, by the way. I'm just memeing. Provided your unit is not within engagement range of one or more enemy units, and every model in your unit is within 3 inches of an Astra Militarum transport from your army, it can embark within that transport. This is pretty good. This is pretty good. Couple of reasons why. Firstly, it's kind of like pseudo uppy downy, except for it's in and outy for transports. But secondly, it plays into the detachment rule. Because one other thing that's worth mentioning with the detachment rule is obviously you move forward, you jump out, and then you shoot. But then the next turn, you're out of your transport, so you can't benefit from your detachment rule if you have survived any clapback, if there was any. Move out allows you to drive up, jump out, shoot, +1 to wound, get back in, having a great time, jump out again, blast some more ass. So move out is probably one of the nicest stratagems here on paper. But again, it definitely comes down to an element of, did anybody survive to take advantage of it? Haste extraction and move out are good. But both of them somewhat rely upon the fact that you didn't just get shot to shit. And I'm not sure if having an enhancement and then 1 to 2, having an enhancement for smoke grenades and then clear and secure and then hasty extraction or move out. It's quite a few points and CP to get the whole thing to kick off. And it might not even really kick off. You might just jump out and die because the enemy might just shoot you. So it's a bit of a tricky one. It's good. Move out is good. Haste extraction is good. Swift interception, I think, is great. Clear and secure, I think, is amazing. Rapid dispersal, I think, could potentially be very, very spicy. And Vox Relay, I think, is good. Overall, I'm not really seeing any bad stratagems here. All of them have a use case. All of them are good tools in the toolbox. All of them are ones that, with a bit of planning, a bit of malice, a forethought going into your list, you could probably take advantage of nearly all of them every single turn. The big question then becomes is, which ones do you pick? Because obviously, you've only got so much CP. Bringing all of this together, I think that Mechanized Assault does have some decent potential. I think in the hands of a skilled player and someone who has put time and effort and practice into honing their list and making one that is very, very well built around this attachment, I think it can do well. But I think for the average guard player on the street, this one isn't passing the vibe check because we want to have a Steel Legion feel, not a motorized abhuman feel. And I think also that there are still a few pitfalls with this thing. And whilst a lot of it looks good on paper, I think for some players it's going to be hard to get that theory to meet reality. Of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you guys think down in that comment section below. Do you like Mechanized Assault, or is there another guard attachment that you think does its job better? And don't forget to smash that like button if you enjoyed today's video. And if you want to see more content like this, then subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure, and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and Patreons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bon Vert, Lord Pryor, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.